The Galactic Academy of Sciences held its annual conference on Proxima Station, a massive orbital platform that served as neutral territory for all species in the Coalition. For 3 days, the brightest minds from 47 civilizations would share research, debate theories, and push the boundaries of collective knowledge. I was there representing Earth, Dr. James Richardson, quantum physicist and apparently humanity's best shot at not embarrassing ourselves on the galactic stage. We'd been part of the coalition for only 8 years, still the newcomers, still trying to prove we belonged among species that had been traveling the stars for millennia. That's where I first saw her. The presentation hall was packed with beings of every description, crystalline entities, gaseous clouds held in containment suits, bipedal reptilians, and everything in between. The current speaker was a Velcorin professor discussing advances in faster-than-light communication theory. She sat in the back row trying to make herself small. A Thrine, I recognized the species from my briefings. They were newcomers like us, only joined the coalition 3 years ago. She was small for her species, maybe 5 feet tall, with pale blue skin covered in what looked like natural armor plates. Her head bore a crest of bony protrusions that marked her as female. Large, dark eyes, completely black with no visible pupil, stared at the presentation with intense focus. But what caught my attention was the way others treated her. Several Velcorin students sat in the row ahead of her, their backs deliberately turned. One made a comment I couldn't hear, but the others laughed, a sound that carried despite the presentation. The Thrine woman shrank further into her seat. During the break, I watched her approach a group of scientists to ask a question. Before she could speak, a tall Velcorin male dismissed her with a wave. "The refreshment area is that way. Please refill the containers when they're empty." "I'm not service staff," she said quietly. "I'm Dr. Kreinel, here to present my research on Thrine presenting at the conference. How amusing." He exchanged glances with his colleagues. "Tell me, does your species even understand quantum mechanics, or are you just here to take notes for your betters?" Laughter rippled through the group. The Thrine woman's armor plates seemed to darken, a sign of emotional distress I'd later learn. "I have a doctorate in theoretical physics from where? The Coalition Charity University," another scientist chimed in. "Everyone knows Thrine only got into the Coalition as a pity admission, primitive species with nothing to offer except raw materials and cheap labor." "That's enough," I said, stepping forward before I could think better of it. All eyes turned to me. The Velcorin male looked me up and down dismissively. "And who are you?" "Dr. James Richardson, Earth Delegation." "And I don't appreciate hearing colleagues being disrespected based on their species." "Earth," he laughed. "Oh, this is rich. The other primitive species coming to the defense. How touching." "Primitive species that developed nuclear fusion, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence independently," I said evenly. "But I guess that doesn't count because we don't have your technological hand-me-downs." His expression darkened. "Watch your tone, human. The Velcorin Empire has contributed more to galactic science than your species will accomplish in 10,000 years. Maybe, but we still understand that intelligence isn't species-specific, that treating colleagues with respect is basic decency." I turned to the Thrine woman. "Dr. Kreinel, was it? I'd be interested in hearing about your research." She stared at me with those large, dark eyes, surprise and gratitude mixed together. You would. Of course, that's why we're here, right?" To learn from each other. The Velcorin male made a dismissive sound and walked away, his colleagues following. Several other species watched the interaction with interest, but no one else spoke up. Dr. Kreinel's armor plates gradually lightened to their normal shade. "Thank you, you did not have to do that." "Yes, I did. Nobody deserves to be treated like that." I extended my hand, then remembered different species had different contact customs. "Sorry, that's a human greeting." Handshake, sign of respect and welcome. She looked at my hand curiously, then carefully extended her own. Her hand was smaller than mine, with 3 fingers and an opposable thumb, the skin cool and slightly rough from the armor plating. We shook gently. "I am Kreinel of the research colony Thrinel 7. I was pleased to meet you." "James, just James is fine," I smiled. "So tell me about your research, theoretical physics, you said." We grabbed terrible conference coffee and found a quiet corner. Kreinel explained her research, a novel approach to quantum entanglement that could potentially revolutionize long-distance communication. Her theories were brilliant, complex, and completely sound as far as I could tell. "This is incredible work," I said, reviewing her data on my tablet. "Why haven't you published this?" "I have tried. 6 journals have rejected my papers without review. They say Thrine are not capable of this level of theoretical work, that I must have stolen the research or had help from actual scientists." Her plates darkened again with remembered humiliation. "Even my presence at this conference is because my mentor fought for my acceptance. Most people think I should not be here. That's ridiculous. This research is groundbreaking. To you, perhaps, but you are human, also considered primitive by most coalition species." She looked down at her small hands. "We are both outsiders, Dr. Richardson, both seen as less than by those who came before. Then maybe outsiders need to stick together." I met her eyes. "When's your presentation slot?" "Tomorrow afternoon, session 7, theoretical physics track, but She hesitated. "I am afraid no one will attend, or worse, they will attend only to mock." "I'll be there, front row. And I'll make sure you have at least one person in that audience who understands what you've accomplished." Tears, or something like them, welled up in her dark eyes. "Why are you being kind to me? You do not know me. My species has nothing to offer yours." "Because kindness doesn't require a reason. And because your species has plenty to offer, like brilliant scientists with innovative theories that could change how we all communicate across the galaxy." The next afternoon, I arrived early at the presentation hall for session 7. As I'd feared, the room was nearly empty. A handful of beings scattered throughout, most looking like they were just killing time between more interesting sessions. Kreinel stood at the front, her armor plates dark with anxiety. When she saw me walking to the front row, something like relief crossed her face. I sat down and pulled out my tablet, ready to take notes. Behind me, I heard whispers. "Is that the human from yesterday? The one who defended the Thrine? Waste of time, primitive species defending primitive species." Kreinel began her presentation, her voice soft but steady. She explained her research clearly, showing data and simulations that demonstrated her theory's validity. It was brilliant work, Nobel Prize level brilliant by Earth standards. But halfway through, someone in the back laughed. Then others joined in. Not because anything was funny, but because they'd decided a Thrine presenting serious research was inherently ridiculous. Kreinel's voice faltered. Her plates darkened to almost black. She looked like she was about to flee. "Continue. I said loudly enough for the room to hear. That last part about quantum coherence across entangled particles, can you explain the mechanism in more detail? She looked at me, saw genuine interest in my face, and found her voice again. Yes. The mechanism relies on maintaining phase coherence through. As she continued, I asked more questions, good questions that showed I was actually following her research. Gradually, her confidence returned. Her voice strengthened. Her plates lightened. And something interesting happened. A few people started actually listening. A researcher from the Zintari Collective began taking notes. A scientist from Kepler Prime asked a genuine question about the mathematical framework. By the end of the presentation, the mockery had quieted. Krynel fielded questions with increasing confidence, her brilliant mind on full display for anyone willing to see it. When it ended, she looked exhausted but triumphant. I was the first to applaud. After a moment, the Zintari researcher joined in, then a few others. It wasn't the standing ovation she deserved, but it was something. As people filed out, I approached her. "You did great. That was an excellent presentation." "Thank you." "I could not have done it without your support." She paused. "Why do you believe in me when others do not?" "Because I judge people, sorry beings, by their work and character, not by preconceptions about their species. Your work is excellent. That's all that matters. The journals still will not accept my papers. Then we'll go around them." An idea was forming in my mind. What if we collaborated, your theory combined with some of my work on quantum computing? We published together, a human and a thrine, showing that the primitive species can contribute serious science. Her eyes widened. "You would do this, risk your reputation by associating with me? My reputation will be fine, and honestly, working with you would enhance it, not damage it. You're brilliant, Krynel. It's time the galaxy recognized that." Over the following months, we collaborated remotely. Krynel would send her theoretical frameworks. I'd adapt them to quantum computing applications. We'd video conference at odd hours due to time zone, or rather, planetary rotation differences, working through problems and debating approaches. But we also became friends. She told me about life on Thrinal 7, a research colony established after her species achieved space flight only 20 years ago, about the excitement of joining the coalition, followed by the crushing realization that older species saw them as inferior. "We are treated as children," she said during one late-night call. "Patted on head and told good job when we accomplish basic things. But when we try to contribute real science, we are mocked, told to know our place. Earth gets similar treatment, maybe not as bad, but definitely the cute, primitive species trying so hard attitude. Do you ever want to give up, to stop trying to prove yourself worthy? Sometimes. But then I remember that proving them wrong is way more satisfying than letting them be right." I smiled. "Besides, I've got a brilliant colleague whose research is about to blow everyone's minds. That's worth fighting for." 6 months after the conference, we published our joint paper, Quantum Coherence Communication Systems, a novel approach to FTL data transmission. It was immediately picked up by the Journal of Coalition Sciences, their top publication. The response was complicated. Many scientists recognized the quality of the work and reached out with interest. But others were dismissive, suggesting I'd done all the real work and Krynel was just attached for political correctness. That changed when Krynel was invited to present at the Galactic Institute of Technology, the most prestigious scientific institution in the coalition. This time, the presentation hall was packed. Not because people believed in her work, but because they wanted to see if the primitive Thrine would embarrass herself on the biggest stage. I was there, of course. Front row again. Crinal stood at the podium, and I could see the fear in her body language. But when she began speaking, something was different. She was different. Months of collaboration, of having someone believe in her work, had given her confidence. She presented our research flawlessly, answered every question with precision and depth. When challenged on the mathematical framework, she walked them through it step by step, demonstrating complete mastery of the material. And when someone suggested I'd done the real work while she just assisted, she didn't shrink. "Dr. Richardson is brilliant colleague and friend," she said clearly. "But the core theoretical framework is my work, developed over 4 years before we met. James helped me apply it to quantum computing. We are equal partners." She met the questioner's eyes. "If you doubt this, I invite you to review my earlier research or to test my understanding with any question you wish to ask." The room fell silent. Then someone asked a brutally complex question about quantum field interactions. Crinal answered it without hesitation, her mind moving through the mathematics in real time. By the end, people weren't laughing. They were taking notes, making connections, seeing her, really seeing her, for the first time as a scientist, not a species. After the presentation, we were mobbed by researchers wanting to discuss collaboration. Journal editors who'd rejected her previous papers apologized and asked to reconsider her submissions. Universities invited her to lecture. In the chaos, Crinal found me. Her armor plates were bright blue, a sign of joy I'd learned. "We did it," she said quietly. "They listened. They actually listened. You did it. I just had your back. No, you gave me courage when I had none. You treated me as equal when everyone else treated me as inferior. You refused to let them reject me." She took my hand in that gesture we'd adopted. "You changed my life, James, changed my world's future, because you refused to accept their judgment." 2 years later, Crinal was appointed as the first Thrine professor at the Galactic Institute of Technology. Her quantum coherence communication system was being implemented across coalition space, revolutionizing long-distance communication. She'd published a dozen more papers, mentored students from multiple species, and become a voice for outsider scientists throughout the galaxy. I was there for her inaugural lecture. The hall was packed, not with skeptics this time, but with genuine admirers. Students eager to learn, colleagues who respected her work. She began her lecture not with technical details, but with a story. "3 years ago, I sat in a conference hall while my peers laughed at me. While they dismissed my research without reading it, based solely on my species, I was ready to give up, to accept that perhaps they were right, that I did not belong in galactic science." She paused, looking directly at me. Then a human I had never met stood up for me, defended me when he had no reason to, believed in my work when everyone else had dismissed it. And he taught me the most important lesson of my career, that being an outsider doesn't make you inferior. It gives you unique perspective that insiders often lack. She gestured to the crowd. "Many of you are outsiders in some way. Wrong species, wrong background, wrong gender for your field. You have been told you do not belong, that your contributions are less valuable. I am here to tell you that is lie. Your different perspective is not weakness, it is strength." After the lecture, we grabbed coffee, real coffee this time, not conference swill. "Thank you," Crinal said, "for everything." for refusing to let them silence me, for teaching me I was worth fighting for. You taught yourself that. I just reminded you when you'd forgotten. No, you did more than that. She looked at me seriously. On my world, we have concept, Kethnal. It means one who lifts another from darkness. You are my Kethnal, James. You lifted me when I had fallen, gave me light when all was dark. You would have found your way eventually. You're too brilliant not to. Perhaps. But your refusal to accept their rejection gave me courage to refuse it too. That is gift beyond measure. We sat in comfortable silence, two outsiders who'd found success not despite being different, but because of it. Who'd faced mockery and rejection and decided to prove everyone wrong. You know what the best part is? I said after a while. What? Watching those Velcorin scientists who mocked you at that first conference now citing your papers. Seeing them build on your theories while pretending they always knew you were brilliant. Krynel laughed, a sound like wind chimes. Yes, that is satisfying, though I try not to be petty. Oh, be petty, you earned it. We laughed together, and I thought about how a simple choice to defend someone being treated unfairly had changed both our lives, had launched a brilliant career, had created a friendship that transcended species and circumstance. She'd been mocked, rejected, dismissed as inferior. I'd refused to accept that judgment. And together, we'd proven that brilliance isn't determined by species, by history, or by the opinions of those who came before. It's determined by the quality of your work and the courage to keep going when everyone says you can't. Krynel had both in abundance. She just needed someone to remind her, and I'd been honored to be that person. From mockery to rescue to triumph, that was her story. But it was also a reminder that sometimes the most important thing you can do is refuse to accept someone else's rejection of a person's worth. To stand up when others tear down. To believe when others doubt. To see potential when others see only limitations. That's what I'd done. And watching Krynel thrive, watching her change galactic science, watching her inspire countless other outsiders to pursue their dreams, that was worth everything. The galaxy had tried to reject her. I'd refused to let them. And that made all the difference.